The country of SARK could be probably the most libertarian country in the world today. There are some advantages and disadvantages of living in SARK, and I'm going to be going over that with you. Now, I'm going to hit on the actual important facts that you need to know, and then I'm going to go over some history on this place. The bailiwick of Guernsey is comprised of the islands of Guernsey, Alderney, Sark, and Herm. These islands are situated about 10 to 13 miles off the northwest coast of France. The Channel Islands are not part of the UK, but are dependent territories of the British Crown. There is one bank in Sark, which is a HSBC bank, and you can also set up an account in Guernsey if you want. Guns are allowed with a license in Sark. There are a couple of stores in Sark, and you can ship things in by Guernsey and also Amazon, which can be actually delivered to your door. Now, Sark is part of the British Isles, but it's protected by the UK if a rogue country tries to take over Sark. There is one prison in Sark that was built back in the 1800s, and the maximum prison time is around 4 nights. And then after this, if the person, if they want to hold the person longer, they'll actually ship them to Guernsey, and they'll be dealt with by the royal courts there. Now, Sark is a crown dependency, as mentioned before, and is the smallest country in the British Commonwealth. There are no real labor laws, so the government lets you set up your own wages by contract that you have between yourself and the person you're actually hiring. But if you're not a UK citizen, you can stay in Sark by investing at least around 200,000 pounds sterling. And you would have to hire 2 residents of Sark, or either 2 residents of the UK to actually keep the residency. Now, Sark is totally crime-free, which is almost unheard of in any country in the world. Sark does not have a hospital, but does have a doctor there. You would be very limited if you need a specialist, but Guernsey is about 9 miles away, where you can take a boat, helicopter, or plane. Now, internet is very efficient and fast in Sark. There is no income tax, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax, no VAT, no sales tax, or any sort of corporate tax. Very few countries in the world are you going to see all of these taxes knocked out, because usually they don't have an income tax or corporate tax. They've got a VAT or sales tax. They don't even have this there. Now, the best part of getting residency in Sark is after getting 5 years of permanent residency in Sark, you can apply for a Channel Island passport, which is actually better than a British passport, because if the UK ever comes out with a wealth tax, or the UK residents, or the UK comes out with some sort of taxation like the US has got, citizenship based on taxation, it wouldn't affect you because you're not part of the UK if you're a resident of Sark. Now, the UK they pretty much leave Sark alone. It's this is the thing that's kind of neat about it. But Sark's population, depending on what part of the year, has only about 500 to 800 residents. Just to give you a comparison, St. Kitts only has 40,000, and Nevis has got around 10,000 people. So Nevis, to give you an example, has about 15 to 20 times more people than Sark does. Now, none of the roads in Sark are paved. There are no street lights in Sark, only bicycles, tractors for certain businesses. Horses and horse carriages are allowed for transportation. Now, if you've got a walking type disability and you get written confirmation from a doctor there, you could possibly get approval to get an electric car. Now, Sark is about 2.5 times the size of Monaco. Prices are high in Sark because of the added shipping cost and food. Electricity cost is very high in Sark. And remember, this is a place that doesn't have any paved roads. Remember, when you don't have a lot of, you don't have any taxes and stuff like this, this is why they don't have street lights. They don't have paved roads. But like I said, it depends on how much government you want. You know, it's, you get what you pay for. But a lot of people like that. The only thing that you might have to deal with is when you get a lot of rain and stuff, you know, you're going to have muddy roads and stuff. But, you know, when you're not paying any tax dollars, the key is what do you want? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Now, let me go over some historical things on Sark. You know, Sark consists of 2 main parts. You got the Greater Sark, and then you got Little Sark. They're connected by a narrow isthmus called the La Capi, which is 300 feet long and has a drop of 330 feet on each side. Protective railings were added in 1900. Before then, children would actually crawl across on their hands and knees to avoid being blown over by the wind off the edges. Now, a narrow concrete road covering the entirety of the isthmus was built around 1945 by German prisoners of war under the direction of the Royal Engineers. The highest point of SARK is around 374 feet above sea level. A windmill, which is actually dated in 1571, is found there, the sails of which were removed during World War II. This high point is named the La Moulin after the windmill. Now, the location is also the highest point in the bailiwick of Guernsey. Off the south end of Little Sark are the Venus Pool and the Adonis Pool. Both are natural swimming pools whose waters are refreshed at high tide. So, if you don't want to go in the actual ocean, which is pretty rough, you can go swim in these areas, but you're going to have to use a wetsuit because it's the water is pretty cold almost all year round. This time of year, it's about 56 degrees. I actually checked it on the internet. So it's you would be freezing at the very beginning when you let that water in your wetsuits. The whole island is extensively penetrated at sea level by natural cave formations that provide unique habitats for many marine creatures, notably sea anemones, some of which are only safely accessible at low tide. Now, SARK also exercised jurisdiction over the island of Briquot, only a few hundred feet west of Greater Sark. Now, it is a private island, but it has recently been open to some visitors. From about 1993, Briquot was owned by the brothers David and Frederick Barclay until David Barclay actually died in 2021. And Frederick Barclay became the sole owner. The brothers contested SARK'S control over the island. The candidates endorsed by their various business interests on the island failed to win any seats in the election held in 2008 and 2010. In 933, SARK was actually included in the Duchy of Normandy. Following the Norman conquest of England in 1066, the island was united with the Crown of England. Now, in the 13th century, the French pirate Eustace the Monk, having served King John, used SARK as a base of operation. Now, SARK's economy depends primarily on tourism and financial services. SARK has had a private company registry since 2017. The Guernsey Financial Services Commission does not register companies based in SARK, which is pretty rare. You don't see that almost any place in the world. This is because of the lack of government. This is some of the things that a lot of people like about it. The SARK is fiscally autonomous from Guernsey and consequently has control over how it raises taxes. There are no taxes on income, capital gains, or inheritances. There's also no VAT charged on goods and services, but import duties are charged on some goods brought onto the island at around 70 to 75% of Guernsey rates. So it is cheaper than Guernsey's rates, but you're going to have extra rates being brought in from the UK. So, that's going to be added to your cost for food, everything. Now, the island does levy a personal capital tax, a property tax, a poll tax, which is a landing tax on visitors coming to the island, and a property transfer tax on residential properties when they're actually sold. Now, the island has its own assessor. In 2016, this remained Simon D. Cardet, who collects the property tax and the personal capital tax, which is a direct tax. Currently, the personal capital tax ranges from a minimum of £450 to a maximum of £9,000, or 0.39% per annum, which is whichever is the lower. That's a pretty low rate, 0.39%. Now, in 2014, there were 5 taxpayers who paid the maximum amount of only £6,400, and 6 who paid zero tax. Now, residents over the age of 69 do not pay the PCT. If a resident chooses not to declare the value of their personal assets, they can elect to pay a flat tax under the forfeit method. Now, in 2006, property tax replaced the feudal treizain. They used to be calculated by dividing the purchase price of any of the 30 tenements of 40 freehold properties on SARK by 13. The proceeds from doing this were then paid directly to the seigneur, which is the guy that more or less oversees the whole country. Now, when the treizain was abolished, the chief of plez introduced an indexed linked pension of £28,000 per year payable to the seigneur. Now, an individual is considered to be a resident for tax purposes if they remain on the island for at least 90 days on any calendar year. Now, let's look at the SARK company registry. Now, SARK has no public company registry and no company law. In January 2017, a private organization called the SARK Company Registry was set up. Now, the project was initially opposed by the Guernsey Financial Services Commission, but that opposition ended with nothing since no law could prohibit private registry of companies. Now, none of the managers of the private registry of or any company registered of them was ever sanctioned. All right, now let's look at the education system. If you've got children and you want to go over there and you want to know something about their education system. Now, SARK generally follows the education system in England, though this is not strictly adhered to. SARK has one school, the SARK'S school, which takes residents from the ages of 4 to 15. School is divided into 4 classes. You got class 1 takes children from ages 4 to 7, and then you got class 2 caters from 7 to 9-year-olds, and then class 3 from 9 to 14-year-olds, and the older children attend class 4. Now, pupils wishing to obtain a GCSE or a level qualification often finish the education in Guernsey or in England. Now, since 2006, however, a limited number of GCSEs have been offered to pupils of SARK school. Now, this is just as a closing here. This has a lot of similarities to St. Kitts, which I'm going to do a comparison on another video on St. Kitts, but they have some advantages and disadvantages of both countries, which I'm going to go over with you. But the thing I like the best about this is you can qualify for this passport after 5 years. And this Channel Islands passport is a very, very good passport. And you can literally live tax-free while you're living here. Now, if you're a U.S. citizen or U.S. resident, you're taxed on your worldwide income, even if you move here, but you can take advantage of the foreign overseas tax exclusion if you relinquish your U.S. citizenship, and you can get out of all your taxes at that point, and you can achieve the full benefits of what this country has to offer. If you're living in a country that's high taxes, residents on their worldwide income, if you live there like Canada, places like Australia, then you're going to have to detax yourself, move out of those countries in most cases, and you might have to pay an exit tax before you can receive these benefits. If you want to know more on this, this is a great country. I'm still looking at it now. It's got a lot of benefits. I moved there, like I said, quite a while ago, but there were some things I didn't like, and I'm going to go over those with you on another video. If you want to know more on how to legally get around high income taxes and how to get a second passport, as quick as 4 to 8 months, do 3 things. Hit the subscribe button at the right of your screen right here, and you get new videos automatically as they come out. Number 2 is I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And number 3 is go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. And I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.